Nashville, Tennessee is, it's called Music City for a reason. There are guys and girls here from all over the world trying to make it in the music business. When I decided I wanted to move here, I told my parents, and they kind of knew along the way that I'd been thinking about moving to Nashville. So when the time came and I told them, hey, I really want to do this. My dad was kind of, he was an ex-high school football coach. His life revolved around sports, just like mine did. It was almost to the point if you didn't play football, you were going to probably have a tough time getting on in town. He didn't tell me not to do it, but he kind of looked at me like I had 5 heads. My mom, on the other hand, from the very get-go, she's like, you wanted to do this for a long time. If you don't do it now, you probably never will. You're going to regret it. So my mom pretty much pushed me to make this decision and just go with it. Go for it. When I first moved to Nashville, I read an article in Music Row magazine by a guy named Tim Dubois. Tim said in this article that you have a better chance of getting drafted into the NBA out of high school than you do to make it as a songwriter. The odds are less than 1% to do this because of all the people that are here. People move in this town every day. If you go downtown right now, your waiter is probably a songwriter. Valet parking your car is probably a songwriter. The nightlife here in Nashville is full of those guys and girls. They're on stages. They got a dream and they're going to make it. And the sad part is most are not going to make it. When I moved to town, I could probably name 8 or 9 guys that moved here about the same time as me, and we wrote together. And out of those 8 or 9 that would come to my mind, I'm the only one left. I wrote a lot of songs before I had my first hit. I'm writing a song a day, so I moved here in '94. My first hit was like in '04. And, you figure a song a day, 4 or 5 days a week, and that's a lot of songs. When you're doing what we're doing, I don't think there's anybody who can say that at some point quitting didn't come to mind. It's such a tough business. You come here, you show up every day, and most days you go by, 90% of your days, you're not seeing any success. Even when you get to the level I'm at now, it's like, I write 120 songs a year to maybe get 15 or 20 of those songs recorded. If I'm lucky. That's a good year. That's a great year, actually. When I was going through those first 10 years, my parents are getting older, I had kids shortly after that. In 2000, I had my first kid. My goal always was to make it before my kids get to school. And if I can't make it before they start school, go back to Georgia. Growing up in Georgia like I did, it's like, I knew I wanted to be a songwriter, but I didn't tell a lot of people because, football really was religion in Georgia where I grew up. I love being a Georgia boy, and the relationships I've made, I still have to this day. I can go 10 years and I talk to one of those guys, and when we see each other, we talk. It's just like the old days. Nothing's changed. My biggest dream was getting to this town that I'm in right now. I never dreamed as big as where I'm at right now. My goal was to move to Nashville, be able to walk into a Walmart one day and buy, back then, a cassette tape, open it up and see my name on there. That was about as big as I dreamed. I never dreamed about this other stuff. I grew up with a guy named Rhett who ended up being a country star, who's the father of Thomas Rhett. So we kind of shared the same dream. We were both football players. We were known in our towns as football players and baseball players. But he was the only guy that shared the same dream of music as I did. And so when we met, we instantly became friends. And Rhett actually moved here 2 or 3 years before I did to write country music. But the fact that he made that jump by himself made it a lot easier for me. I'm not 100% sure I would be here if he hadn't made the jump before I did. So the fact that he was here already, made it easier for me to make that decision. And it didn't make it any easier when I got here, because the bottom line is, when I got here, he was a 24-year-old kid just like I was, and we had to figure this thing out. First thing I did when I moved to Nashville, I had to have a job, because obviously I was making no money in the music business. I didn't know anybody in the music business other than Rhett. I took a job selling ball caps and t-shirts over the phone, and it was basically a telemarketing job. And I'd go there at 7 o'clock every day, and I would work till 1. I would leave there, grab a bite to eat, and I would find somebody who wanted to write at 2 o'clock. So most guys in Nashville at the time were writing at 10 o'clock in the morning every day. That was pretty much the standard time to write. So me working another job, I had to find guys that were willing to write later. So pretty much every day I would start writing at 2, and I'd write until I got done, whatever time it would be. Sometimes it would be 7 o'clock, sometimes 8. I'd come back home that night. I'm still not a great guitar player, but I would come home at night after I had dinner, and I would sit in my chair with my guitar. And I mean, the hours I put in back in those days are nuts. I mean, just, trying to get to where I am today. And that little ball cap company I worked for ended up being a pretty good place to work. I mean, me being as competitive as I am, they had a sales board, for everyone to see. And if you're the bottom salesman, your name's on the bottom. If you're the top, your name's on the top. So my first week there, I was on the bottom, and then I hate losing, so I got good at selling ball caps till my name was at the top of the board every week. And so I did that for 10 years. Even after I signed my first publishing deal, I kept working at that place because I was making pretty good money. My first hit was with a guy named Jeff Bates, and it's a song we wrote together with a friend of ours named Gordon Bradbury, and that was like 2004, I guess it was. And the story behind that song was pretty crazy. I literally, the night before I got the news that I had the single, is probably the lowest. I can't believe I'm getting choked up about that. All right, I'll try again. Yes, that's a tough story. I've been in town 10 years. And I had a sincere prayer the night before I got the news about Jeff Bates. I was like, just, God, let me know what I need to do. My family, my parents are getting older. My grandparents are getting older. If I'm supposed to be here, I need a sign. And literally the very next day, Jeff Bates calls me and says, dude, I got some good news. You got my next single. It's about to come out. I can honestly say since that day, I've never looked back once. I feel like my songs, I'm supposed to be here. My songs are supposed to, make people happy, change lives or whatever. So I feel like I'm in line with what God wants me to be doing.